Welcome, wisdom seekers, to the Chill Stoic. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into the very essence of what it means to be truly intelligent, truly wise. You see, in my years of walking this earth, observing people and their intricate ways, I've come to a profound realization. True intelligence isn't just about how much you know. It's about how you live, how you treat others, and critically, how well you learn from your mistakes. But here's the twist, a subtle undercurrent in the human experience. There are certain unmistakable signs, 6 of them to be exact, that reveal when someone is, shall we say, lacking in wisdom. Now, before you roll your eyes or chuckle, understand this isn't about judging others. It's about reflection, growth, and yes, proactively avoiding these pitfalls in our own lives. It's also about extending a hand to those who might not even realize they're stuck in their own cycle of foolishness. So, join me on this journey of self-discovery. Together, we'll uncover these 6 undeniable signs of a less than wise person, each carrying a lesson, a story, and a mirror for us to reflect upon. Because the path to wisdom, my friends, always begins with awareness. Are you ready to walk this road with me? Let's begin. Part 1: The Closed Mind, a Fortress of Ignorance. Our first sign is perhaps the most fundamental, the closed mind. Imagine a fortress, formidable and unyielding, built brick by brick with fear, pride, and stubbornness. That, my friends, is the essence of a closed mind. People trapped within this fortress don't just reject new ideas, they actively block their own paths to growth. They exist within a rigid mental box where everything must conform to their familiar rules, and anything different is perceived as a direct threat. Their outward confidence often serves as a mere facade because true confidence, authentic confidence, springs from acknowledging that you simply can't know everything. Let me paint a picture for you with Mark, a department manager I once worked alongside. Mark was absolutely, stubbornly adamant that the old ways of working were inherently best. This was despite clear, undeniable signs that his team was rapidly falling behind their competitors. When a sharp, younger employee courageously suggested implementing modern project management software to dramatically improve efficiency, Mark dismissed the idea outright. His exact words? "We've done it this way for 10 years and it's worked fine." The consequence? While other teams across the company made significant, measurable strides, Mark's team floundered, mired in outdated processes and facing declining performance. Instead of acknowledging the glaring problem, Mark deflected, blaming his staff, the volatile market, and even sheer bad luck, never once questioning his own deeply entrenched mindset. As the ancient philosopher Epictetus profoundly stated, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. A closed mind doesn't just block new knowledge, it tragically stunts the growth of everyone around it, creating a ripple effect of stagnation. Wise people, in stark contrast, aren't paralyzed by the thought of admitting they don't know everything. In fact, they embrace it and are always willing to learn. Stoic philosophy gently reminds us that wisdom isn't about always being right, but about the profound ability to adapt and continuously improve. If you recognize this tendency in yourself or in someone you interact with, remember this powerful truth. Embracing innovation not only fosters immense personal growth, but also cultivates a far more productive and dynamic environment. Be brave enough, truly brave enough, to say, "I was wrong, and I want to learn." Because only when the rigid walls of stubbornness begin to crumble can true wisdom genuinely take root. And if you find value in these insights, if you're ready to peel back the layers of conventional thinking and truly embrace the path of wisdom, then I invite you to join our growing community. Hit that subscribe button right now on the Chill Stoic. Your journey to a more thoughtful, more grounded life begins here. Part 2. Constant blaming, the shield that becomes a prison. Moving on to our second sign, constant blaming. Foolish people are unequivocally masters of excuses. For them, nothing, absolutely nothing is ever their fault. A failed project? Oh, the market was simply too tough. A missed promotion? Clearly the boss was biased. But deep down, deep within, we all understand that blaming is fundamentally a shield. It's a desperate attempt to avoid confronting uncomfortable truths. Yet, ironically, that very shield eventually transforms into a prison, relentlessly holding them back from any real growth or progress. Let's consider Lisa, an event organizer I once collaborated with. She was tasked with planning a major high-stakes conference. When the event ultimately flopped due to shockingly poor attendance, Lisa immediately, instinctively, pointed fingers at the marketing team for not promoting it well enough. However, upon a deeper investigation, the uncomfortable truth emerged. Lisa herself had failed to send the crucial event details on time, which subsequently delayed the entire marketing campaign. Even then, even with clear evidence, she continued her relentless finger-pointing, steadfastly refusing to accept her own significant role in the failure. The direct result? Her colleagues irrevocably lost trust in her, and Lisa eventually had no choice but to step down from her position. Responsibility, though often perceived as a heavy burden, is in fact the indispensable gateway to profound growth. Wise people courageously admit their mistakes, not because they relish criticism, but because they inherently understand that truth, unvarnished truth, unfailingly brings opportunities to improve. As Jocko Willink, the formidable former Navy SEAL officer and acclaimed author, frequently emphasizes, extreme ownership is absolutely critical for success in any endeavor. Stoic philosophy echoes this sentiment, reminding us that truly mastering life begins with mastering responsibility. If you find yourself sliding into a pattern of blaming others, take a moment, a conscious pause, and ask yourself, have I genuinely done everything I could? Is there something, anything, I could have done differently? Blaming will never ever change the outcome, but taking responsibility, that will profoundly change you. Wise individuals do not shy away from their mistakes. They learn from them, they grow, and they resolutely move forward. And you, my friend, can choose that path too. Choose the path of truth, continuous improvement, and ultimately greatness. Part 3. Arrogance over humility. The barrier to true intelligence. Have you ever encountered that one person who relentlessly tries to prove they are unequivocally the smartest person in the room? That, my friends, is our third undeniable sign: arrogance. Arrogance isn't merely a flimsy mask for deep-seated insecurity. It is, in fact, the single biggest barrier to genuine growth and true wisdom. Truly intelligent people possess the profound understanding of how to listen far more than they speak, because they grasp that learning is an unending, lifelong process. Let's bring in Michael, a manager at a large corporation. In virtually every meeting, he would brazenly dominate conversations, consistently interrupt his colleagues, and even audaciously mock their ideas. On one particularly critical occasion, when the company faced a disastrously failed project, Michael, true to form, swiftly blamed his entire team for not understanding his brilliant ideas. But in the stark light of reality, it was his unchecked arrogance and his absolute refusal to listen that had, in fact, completely derailed the entire project. When his discerning boss eventually asked him to reflect, Michael was utterly incapable of conjuring a single valid reason for the failure, as his arrogance had utterly blinded him to any opportunity for genuine improvement. Humility, on the other hand, is not, as some mistakenly believe, about thinking less of yourself. Instead, it is profoundly about thinking of yourself less. It champions and prioritizes learning and genuine collaboration over the desperate need to always prove you are right. As the ancient Chinese proverb so eloquently states, "A wise man knows he knows nothing. A fool thinks he knows all." Stoic philosophy gently guides us, reminding us that authentic wisdom blossoms only when we courageously open ourselves to new perspectives, when we are brave enough to utter the words, "I was wrong, and I am ready to learn from my mistakes." If you ever find yourself caught in the insidious trap of arrogance, pause for a crucial moment and sincerely ask, "Am I truly seeking recognition, or do I genuinely, deeply want to grow?" Wisdom, my friends, does not reside in diminishing others, but in empowering them, in uplifting them. The truly wise allow humility to be their steadfast guide, for they understand implicitly that real intelligence emerges when the deafening noise of arrogance finally quiets down. And you, yes, you, have the profound choice to be that wise person. Part 4. Lack of empathy, the disconnect from humanity. Our fourth crucial sign is a particularly telling one: a lack of empathy. This is one of the clearest indicators of ignorance. It reflects a profound inability to genuinely step into someone else's shoes, to truly understand their feelings, or to grasp the depth of what they're going through. Without empathy, people exist in a state of isolation, tragically disconnected from meaningful relationships, and often, devastatingly, hurt others without even realizing the impact. This absence doesn't just damage relationships, it deeply diminishes the very depth and richness of one's character. Let me share a poignant story about a colleague named Paul. Paul had a persistent habit of complaining bitterly about project delays, never once attempting to understand the underlying reasons behind them. On one occasion, when a coworker named Susan tragically missed a deadline because her young son was seriously ill, Paul, in a stunning display of insensitivity, publicly criticized her in front of the entire team. He simply did not care about Susan's devastating circumstances. His sole focus was on the results he coldly expected. A year later, a cruel twist of fate placed Paul in a remarkably similar situation, caring for his own ailing mother. It was only then, finally, that he realized the profound pain his thoughtless criticisms had inflicted upon others. A lack of empathy doesn't just make someone appear cold or detached, it actually blinds them to invaluable opportunities for learning and growth that come through human connection and relationships. Modern neuroscience even reveals that empathy is intimately linked to specific mirror neurons in the brain, which are fascinatingly responsible for helping us understand and, in a sense, imitate the actions and intentions of others. Developing empathy, quite literally, expands our capacity for deeper understanding. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true wisdom does not stem from knowing every single fact, but from connecting with others on a deeply meaningful level. Those who lack empathy not only fail to enrich their own spiritual lives, but also tragically isolate themselves, leaving behind a lasting impression of insensitivity. Remember this, my friends. Empathy is not a weakness. It is, in fact, the most powerful bridge to both wisdom and humanity. When you consciously pause to truly listen to someone else, you not only offer them invaluable support, but you also gain profound, invaluable lessons for yourself. An empathetic heart enriches your entire world and enables you to navigate life's inherent complexities with remarkable grace and profound understanding. If you ever find yourself struggling with empathy at times, simply start by listening without judgment. It is the crucial first step toward opening your heart and your mind, guiding you ever closer to genuine wisdom. Part 5. The fear of change. Clinging to stagnation. Now let's explore our fifth sign, the fear of change. The comfort zone. It feels so cozy, doesn't it? But paradoxically, my friends, it is also a prison. Those who are gripped by the fear of change cling desperately to old habits, even when those habits have long outlived their usefulness. They're akin to children afraid of the dark, perpetually hesitant to step outside the familiar. But understand this fundamental truth. Life is a river. It flows, it bends, and it constantly transforms. The wise learn to gracefully adapt, while the foolish, in their futile attempt, try to hold water in their hands, only to watch it relentlessly slip through their fingers. Let me introduce you to Michael, a man who spent his entire life rooted in a single, small neighborhood. He knew every single corner, every familiar face in the community. When his grown children, with good intentions, encouraged him to consider moving to a new area for better opportunities, Michael firmly refused. "I know everyone here. Why should I go somewhere else?" he declared. But then, the inevitable began. The neighborhood itself started changing. Old friends moved away. Familiar shops sadly closed down. Michael slowly, painfully, realized that even though he valiantly resisted change, the world around him was still relentlessly moving forward. Eventually, perhaps out of sheer necessity, he decided to move closer to his children. It was only then, to his profound surprise, that he discovered the new environment not only brought him unexpected comfort, but also unveiled a multitude of opportunities he'd never even dared to imagine. The fear of change doesn't just confine us to a perceived safe zone, it actively prevents us from exploring vastly greater possibilities. As the famous business guru Peter Drucker wisely observed, the greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence, it is to act with yesterday's logic. Stoic philosophy unequivocally teaches us that change is utterly inevitable, and it is only by embracing it with a truly open heart that we can genuinely live a full, vibrant life. If you find yourself instinctively avoiding change, take a moment for introspection and ask yourself, what's the absolute worst that could realistically happen? And what's the incredible best that could unfold? Life, my friends, does not stand still, and if you fail to learn to go with its natural flow, you will inevitably be left behind. Remember, change is not an enemy. It is a vital step toward profound growth, while stubbornly resisting it only keeps you stagnant in the clutches of fear. Part 6. Talking more than listening. The silence of understanding. And finally, we arrived at our sixth and perhaps most common sign, talking more than listening. Have you ever encountered that family member who insists, without fail, that they know absolutely everything? They dominate every single conversation, interrupt constantly, and rarely, if ever, take the genuine time to truly listen to others. This, my friends, is a clear, unmistakable sign of someone who talks more than they listen, a quintessential hallmark of foolishness. They are utterly captivated by the sound of their own voice, often flagrantly disregarding others' perspectives, which not only creates immense tension, but also deeply damages relationships. Let me share a heartfelt story about John, a father I once knew. Every single evening at dinner, John would completely monopolize the conversation. His kids would timidly try to share their experiences from school, but John would frequently interrupt them, eager to recount his own great stories. When his wife, with genuine concern, gently suggested some changes to improve the family's financial situation, John dismissively brushed her ideas aside, adamantly insisting his way was the only way. The truly tragic part was that John remained utterly oblivious to how profoundly his behavior was making his beloved family feel unheard and utterly unvalued. His persistent lack of listening created a deep rift, leaving everyone at the table feeling overlooked and disrespected. Listening, my friends, is not passive. It is, in fact, a remarkably active skill that demands genuine attention and profound respect for others. As Stephen Covey, the renowned author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, famously articulated, most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. Stoic philosophy powerfully reminds us that listening is the ultimate pathway to learning and profound growth. In the quiet space of genuine listening, we discover deep understanding and true wisdom. Conversely, talking without truly listening is akin to sowing seeds in barren soil. Nothing meaningful will ever truly grow. If you find yourself perhaps occasionally reflected in John's story, now is the perfect time for a conscious shift. Next time your child shares about their day, or your spouse thoughtfully offers their perspective, pause and truly listen. Don't just impatiently wait for your turn to talk, actively strive to understand. By embracing this simple yet profound act, you will not only significantly improve your family relationships, but also foster an environment of profound love and mutual respect. Remember this truth: the wise person listens, the foolish one only talks. So, my fellow wisdom seekers, we've walked through the 6 undeniable signs of a less than wise person. But before you click away, perhaps wondering, am I foolish? Hold on for just a second. The honest truth is, all of us at some point in our lives have exhibited one or more of these signs. Maybe we've been a touch arrogant, clung too tightly to our comfort zones, or, let's be real, talked a little too much without truly listening. Here's the key takeaway, the profound insight. Recognizing these signs isn't about criticism. It is unequivocally about improvement. Stoic philosophy teaches us that wisdom doesn't blossom from always being right, but from continually learning, courageously admitting our mistakes, and being consistently willing to grow. Each foolish trait, ironically, is actually a golden opportunity, a hidden pathway to become infinitely wiser. So, if you find yourself resonating with one or more of these traits today, embrace it not as a fault, but as an explicit invitation to evolve. Take that courageous step out of your comfort zone, consciously listen more, mindfully blame less, and wholeheartedly embrace change. This journey, my friends, isn't reserved for the perfect. It is profoundly for the brave, the ones who can look honestly at themselves and declare, I can do better. Remember, foolishness is temporary, a passing phase, but wisdom is an ongoing journey, a lifelong pursuit. And on that profound journey, you are never alone. Keep growing, keep evolving, and keep chillin'. Thank you for tuning in to the Chill Stoic. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, so we can continue exploring meaningful lessons together. Until next time, stay wise, stay chill.